Well, I guess FCCPC, they're enforcing consumers' rights, and I wonder where that goes from there, So after the sealing, then what happens? The good thing is, well, I guess it doesn't really affect electricity supply through Ikeja Disco. I hope so, and I hope it stays that way. Now let's talk about aviation. It's very busy in that area. That's the aviation sector in recent times, especially as we head into the festive season. We know that more people now embrace traveling by air because of the threat of insecurity on the roads. And just a couple of days ago, we saw Ekiti Airport open for commercial operations, and the inaugural flight from United Nigeria Airline. So now let's talk about some of those issues in the sector at this time. We know that the minister there has promised that the supply will bring down the price of tickets, but a lot of people beg to differ. So these are some of the issues that we are going to discuss this morning with the Chief Executive Officer of United Nigeria Airline, Professor Biora Okonkwo, joins us from our Abuja studio. Professor Okonkwo, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Great. I think a good place to start would be congratulations on your inaugural flight to Ekiti. And you were all proud and smiley, because even when you were talking, then we heard one of your flights being announced, and I guess that was a great moment for you.
Yes, we're glad to be part of that history. And actually, that moment, the announcement came up on the public speaker. It was quite exciting, and even the people at the hall were highly elated. So it actually confirms that we did not just only land, but it's now a reality that commercial flight had commenced in Ekiti. So we're happy, and again, quite exciting to be among the united governors and former governors of Ekiti. That was a really great sight to behold, seeing the past governors in unity seated there together to celebrate that milestone. So we're grateful to Ekiti people for trusting us to be the instrument to actualize that. And channels were there live also to broadcast it to the whole world. That obviously made a whole lot of difference.
All right, Prof. But I mean, one of the things that was on my mind as I watched that glorious moment, the commencement of operations of the airports in Ekiti State and, and all of that. And I'm wondering, do we have enough factors to drive traffic to this airport?
Well, I really think that from the market survey, they have a unique situation in the sense that you have, from our findings, 6 institutions of higher learning. Number one amongst them is Upper Babala University, which in itself is a city, it's a town of its own, and they boast of over 10,000 students. And a greater percentage of these students coming in and out of Ekiti, obviously at certain seasonal periods, and also have programs in the university to bring in people and out parents and relations of those students. So we have no doubt that they will have enough to compensate. And beyond that, the state government understands the need to give the initial business time some comfort to stick, in that relationship. And it might surprise you to know that on that day, we came in with the full flight that the aircraft could carry, and also the aircraft out of Ekiti was also 100% full. It's a very rare moment in aviation to see that. So, and 100% of those passengers outbound out of Ekiti Airport were commercial passengers who paid their tickets. It might be also associated with the fact that it was a season. The students are closing, so a lot of them are going out for holidays. But you got to understand that aviation is just beyond taking you there and bringing you back. going to open up a whole lot of other opportunities. The abroad, that's Apapa University. For me, for the first time, I'm going to Ekiti, and with the conversations I've had with the Vice Chancellor of the university, which has been quite exciting, we're going to go into MOU with them very soon to be able to offer them other services that United Nigeria can offer, and that has to do with signing an MOU to give them internship with some of their students. We're already extending that to Unizik in Anambra State. It wouldn't have been possible if we didn't start this relationship, and I think so other things will also come its way. That airport, is an agro-based airport. It will help them also to start thinking of how to carry their products, especially their yams that it is known for, in and out of Nigeria. So I really think that it would open doors for other opportunities.
Yeah, certainly we do hope so, and I'm glad you mentioned the agro potential of the state. Hopefully this will also drive more activity in that area when it comes to agriculture. I guess that would be a sustainable way to keep the airport alive.
Definitely. I've seen some states embark on airport projects, and you really wonder why they need it, if it will ever be viable or useful. But in the case of Ekiti, I can tell you that it is the right decision, and the timing cannot be better. They need it, and I'm sure it will be very, very useful and viable. It will contribute a lot to the economic development of that state. Yeah, and I can see the governor also is intentional about his programs to bring unity. And when there's unity, there's progress. So watch out. And again, United Nigeria is privileged and honored to be part of that history.
All right, we'll watch out for. But, unfortunately, the very next day, you had to issue a notice of flight disruption. You mentioned a bird strike that disrupted one of your flights.
So, unfortunately, you see, that was our situation, and it didn't just disrupt our flight yesterday. It continues to disrupt our flight. It might interest you to know that bird strike is the third we're having within a space of 1 month. 1 month. We had one in Benin. It wasn't that impactful on the aircraft. We had second one in Kano, and then the one of the day before yesterday was in Kano. And obviously from the evaluations it required for the review. And obviously, at the end of the day, knowing that we don't joke with safety standards and procedures, so the aircraft was grounded. And obviously, there are some repairs that has to be done. That's going to cost us some money, and the aircraft might not have to operate for the next few days. So, but again, we cannot compromise anything for safety. But that brings us back to our cry and call for improved infrastructure. Birds are all over the places, but it remains a big threat. I know my brother, friend, and great ally, in the last 3 months when I was speaking with him, had 41 bird strikes. And these things should not be so. It doesn't take a lot of investment to drive these birds away. And we are crying out for this and hoping that there's some plans in place. I hope the minister FAN is actually exclusively the job of FAN to keep our airport conducive for our flight. And we don't, as much as we were prepared for this season, we have the aircraft, you have the crew, the aircraft are serviceable. And they don't have to plan for this kind of situation. And the spare parts that you need to repair this are not the kind of spare parts you have in your warehouse. And for us, as we say, every single thing we need to maintain our aircraft, none is manufactured here. You have to source it overseas, you have to bring it in, and this takes time. So we're expecting that our passengers will understand. That has brought about our rescheduling It's very painful. We want our passengers to travel smoothly. And obviously, like we have always said, we don't make money when you buy a ticket, because you have right to go and get refund and don't fly again. We only make money when you fly. So if any person benefits from flying and on time, it should be the operator. So we need improved infrastructure. This morning on my way to this place, I got a video on one of our company's platform that conveyor belts in the airport, one of the airports is not working. And as a result of that, they're going to waste another 1.5 hours trying to get the passengers' luggages inside the aircraft. This 1.5 hours, if it accumulates down the road for the whole of this day, and obviously passengers, all they know is that the airline is not flying on time. These things are really, really very, very difficult situations. But we're in Nigeria. We have to provide this service. We have to be here. We're calling for more understanding from Nigerian travelers. You deserve the best. We are prepared to give you the best. But when so many of these things are beyond our control, please behave normally. You don't have to fight. You don't have to disrupt. We had a situation because of the best strike yesterday. Some passengers that were affected caused a disruption for other people who had smooth flight. For 2-3 hours, they refused boarding. That can only happen in Nigeria. It shouldn't happen in other parts of the world. Delays, disruptions are there, but behaviors are different. That's the only issue. But these people out there working
Prof, maybe there's a need.
Our wives to people.
Prof, maybe there's a need for more communication, because you would also understand the frustration of an individual who had booked a flight and perhaps has a meeting in an hour or so in the destination, and had things planned out, and then suddenly meets this. So you can expect that those reactions would not be equal and would not be as civilized as I would have loved it to be. Perhaps the airlines also have the job or the responsibility to communicate more, with individuals, with customers, and win their confidence. Because if I know this airline is trustworthy, so when something happens, I can say, oh, but they're not really like this. They're not always like this. Perhaps there's something that's wrong.
I agree with you. When I'm flying my airline, we fly our airline, I am a passenger. I'm not the operator. I am not the chairman. Before I got into the business of airline, I utilize them as much as any Nigerian can do. So I understand all the feelings. It is natural. But the only difference is that there are certain level of behavior that is required of you, no matter the circumstances. Unruly behavior is not acceptable. And besides, the most important thing and obligation you should expect from any operator, both in Nigeria and in other part of the world, is to take you there safely. It's safety. Some of these things are the high standard and strict regulatory situations that have applied in Nigeria. Any slightest thing must be checked, must be verified, NCA must be contacted, they must have go through the books with you, and then show that all the rules are applied. So safety is the key. Delays are all over the world. I've said, if you get into any world airport, look at the screen. You see the number of aircraft, you see the destination, and there is column for status. At every point in time, you will see a sign of delayed, cancelled, to be informed later, boarding, on time. Those things are there. They're constant. But the difference is that the passengers there don't behave unruly. It does not help any matter. All right? So, but I can understand the pain. We can plan better. If there are improved airport infrastructure, it will automatically reduce delays and disruption by 90%. On the side of the airline, if you position the aircraft by 7 o'clock, their crew are on board and they are waiting to board. Morning boarding in most of the airports, especially MM2, where you have about 6-7 airlines boarding at the same time, they're using one boarding gate. You come to Abuja airport here, look at the airport, you've been traveling. If you are calling boarding of 6-7 airlines, they're using one boarding gate. Outside this country, United Nigeria could have its own boarding gate. You just walk in, it reduces the time. These infrastructures continue to be a factor that is affecting us negatively. We are happy that the current minister we have is working diligently with FAN, but we want the impact to be felt very, very quickly. So, again, I said 95% of reasons connected with delays and all that are beyond the operator. Unless you don't have the aircraft, unless your aircraft is not serviceable, unless the AOG is there. And obviously, the only thing you have to do is say that cancel your flight. And these things are done all over the world. And when your flight is cancelled, you should know it's to your own interest because they don't have to operate with aircraft that's not serviceable. So in all of this, no matter how pained we are, we're only appealing to the traveling public to apply a certain level of decorum and civilized behavior. And there are things that benefits you can get according to ICAO, that is world standard. These things are not introduced because of Nigeria. They have been existing even before we started aviation. So these things are addressed differently. You can have benefits if you are delayed beyond certain hours and so on and so forth. You've been traveling internationally with keeping in the hotel, pay for your food because they couldn't fly due to some factors beyond their control, or hitting or destroying equipment. That goes airport. You just wait for the instructions. Communications obviously sometimes come inside the airport, get into their phones as the case may be. But once it's not what they want to hear, they still behave the way they wish they can behave. It's unfortunate, but we can help each other. It's a very tough environment. It's a very tough industry. We go through a lot to take you from one point to the other. Please understand and have mercy on those staff who are there because the problems are not caused by them. But are just there to service you. We'll be glad. The greatest joy we do have is that, we do celebrate on-time departure. We have our ratings, and now we're working on 95%. And every staff is happy. Today we have on-time departure 100%. Sometimes we give them kudos on the back. So they want to get you there timely and to help them to go home quickly, if they complete the cycles they have on that day.
I know, right? In case we forget that they are also human beings and they need to go home on time. But, Prof, the other issue on the front burner now is the price of tickets. I mean, the complaint of the heightened and increased price of tickets really is coming from a lot of corners. And though the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Mr. Festus Keyamo, has told us that competition will force it down, there are people who say no, that that may not be the solution or the way out. And they count the issue of taxes, and you have some of them right there, Prof. I hope you can tell me which one is there or which one is not there or which one we missed out. Some reports say there are about 54 taxes that airline operators have to pay to various government agencies and for services. For instance, they said the NCAA earns 18,000 for each domestic ticket, 18,000 naira. For electricity and counter usage charges, about $7 for an hour. Boarding bridge fees, 250 for $1. I believe that's for international. Rent per square meter in Abuja, about 75,000. In Lagos, 50,000. And Port Harcourt, 55,000. Service recovery charge, 20%. Apron pass in Abuja is about 250,000. In Lagos, 150. Port Harcourt, 125. for a vehicle, and it's paid annually. And then charges from the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, en route charges between 7,751 naira 80 kobo to about 15,000. Terminal navigation charges about 6,788 naira. Overflight charges, clearance charges, extension charges, all of them are paid per flight basis. Does this capture all the charges and taxes that you pay as an airline operator in Nigeria, Prof?
Well, that's really great. I can see that channels have done a whole lot of homework on that. It's including this and even more. There are more that are not here. But from this, again, we can say that airline is we're just the ATM of the aviation ecosystem. Within the aviation ecosystem, obviously have the agencies that you have mentioned. You still have ground handling companies. You still have in-flight service companies, those that provide the food, the drinks that you do have, and so on and so forth. And the only source of this collection is the ticket. And we, the operators, are those who collect that money. But when our travelers, our Western travelers, pay this money, some of them sometimes they might be looking at me and wanting to give me a knock on my head that you collect all this money from me. But as a matter of fact, we're just a distribution channel. By the time we had finished, the aviation fuel, as a matter of fact, constitutes about 40% of the expenses. So, and according to this rule of the industry, there are minimum expenses you have to make to operate the aircraft. Whether you have passengers or you don't have passengers, those expenses are sacrosanct. The aviation, the landing. If you land in any airport with 100% passenger load, you pay the same amount as if you land empty. And at the end of the day, we spread this cost per available seat on that aircraft. And that becomes the unit cost of each passenger, whether you're on board or you're not on board. So it is really huge. And we have been crying for a very long time now that these taxes are not only a burden to the operators, they're all transferred to the passenger, because you have to factor them in before you now determine the price of each flight. If you don't do that, then we, the operators, will be operating at a loss. And sometimes it gets to that, because at the end of the day, you are left with only 1 or 2%. And that 2% is not enough to maintain the aircraft, it's not enough to maintain on-time operation. Servicing aircraft is huge. In all of this, you had also not included certain other operational costs, which comes about 60% more than in any other country. I give you, for instance, we have some aircraft. You have the brake, the noseway, that is the tires, in a common language. If I have an operator operating the same type of aircraft that I have, A320, in another climb, it could take him about 200 landings to change his tires, to change his brake. But in Nigeria, it could take us 30, 40, 50 because of the state of the runway. So that's extra expenses. And there are other, like this best strike we do have. Sometimes it costs you hundreds of thousands of dollars to maintain, sometimes millions. It wouldn't cost you the same in other places because you don't have that best strike that as common as it is there. So it is huge. Our operational cost is huge. But we do not compromise safety. We don't want government to push the situation to the state that has to happen. But we're happy we've been engaging.
So, Prof, it does seem like the perception of the minister that supply will deal with the price in this case cannot work. If we really want to deal with the price, then we have to look for a solution to this numerous taxes and charges?
Well, in a simple economic theory, as an economist, competition will always will obviously help to streamline certain prices. But however, with specific regards to aviation, there is no other country in Africa that has the number of airline companies existing in Nigeria. So I don't know how many more that will come in. And these guys who are coming in, there are a whole lot in the making. But when they come in, obviously, unless they have a grant or they are sponsored by government to fly free of charge, no matter their cost of operations, I don't see anything that's going to come beyond this or below this, rather. So the cost, because certain costs are constant, like I told you. However, another thing also we are not factoring in here is that for you to have a better deal with your ticket, you must have to buy your tickets early. A typical pattern here in Nigeria is that some people wait until they are flying. They wait until they get to the airport. They want to ask which airline, which aircraft is on ground, which airline is about to take off. And that's when they want to buy their ticket. At that point, you're probably buying the last part of the ticket that is more expensive. Even on an international flight, if you want to go to summer next year, some people who plan better would have bought their summer tickets by now for next year.
All right, Prof.
It gets cheaper.
Prof, still talking about those taxes, I wonder, it's going to be a new era when it comes to tax law and tax operationalism in Nigeria from January. Are you looking the way of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Reforms and Tax, perhaps to intervene in this number of taxes? Is that a possibility?
Definitely. As a matter of fact, it might interest you to know that for the last 3 days, the executive members of Airline have been in Abuja. We've been engaging different segments of government, from National Assembly, we've seen the Senate President, the Deputy. We had met with the Committee of Aviation yesterday, and on and on. And all we're saying is that if you allow this new tax regime as prescribed for the aviation sector to apply from 1st of January, forget it. You've shut down the industry and we're dead. We cannot survive. So many things during the public hearing of this tax fiscal committee. We were there. I led the Airline team that met with the chairman. We made our presentation. Honestly speaking, he was rather sympathetic. And we did not have any form of disagreement or understanding. We were on the same page. But what turned out to be the final copy was obviously not our expectation. So we've been bringing this notice to different quarters. As a matter of fact, beyond the meetings with National Assembly, we are meeting with the chairman of Fiscal Committee by next week, Tuesday. We're doing all we can, and we're just simply saying, beyond our business, this will kill the industry. And when it kills the industry, it's going to affect every aspect of life. Aviation remains a catalyst for economic growth. Our $1 trillion economy is dead on arrival if you don't have vibrant and buoyant aviation sector. I'm wanting to note here that our aviation sector is driven 100% by private sector. It's a partnership government must be able to encourage. We're not asking for any loan, any free money. We're not asking for grant. We're just saying, don't apply this new tax rule. We cannot breathe. I've been crying for the last month that we're being suffocated with all these excesses you're already seeing. And again, the whole aviation world now, we go to international conferences and meetings. Nigeria is the most expensive place to operate in aviation. The taxes here are more than even more developed airports and facilities around the world. It's huge. For instance, we started our journey to Ghana. Before you even sit down on the airplane going to Ghana, $200, that's 300,000 naira, is already for different airports, Ghana airport and Nigeria airport. It's huge. So how cheap can you sell those tickets?
All right, Prof.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like we can exhaust this in one conversation, but thank you so much for your time and sharing those observations and your experience with us on the program. Professor Biora Okonkwo is the Chief Executive Officer of United Nigeria Airline. Thank you, and we certainly wish you the very best.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you, channels, for giving on this platform. We'll be glad to be back next time to share these developments with you.
I will be glad to have you too, Prof. All right, so let's take a break now. When we come back, we can hardly have any conversation these days without AI. That will be our focus after this break. Please stay with us.